May 12th, then Governor Sarah Palin announced her book deal. 2.5 months later, she left office. And a few days after that, she and her family moved to San Diego for a month so that Palin could crash the book with her collaborator. So in our number 2 story in the countdown, as Palin's publisher announces that her book will be out months ahead of schedule, there is no doubt about how that happened or exactly where the former governor places her priorities. A little more than 2 months after resigning as governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin has reportedly completed work on her memoir. Her publisher, HarperCollins, which signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Palin, has now moved up the publication date to November 17th, way ahead of the original schedule of spring 2010. The first printing, 1.5 million copies. Well, that will equal the number of the late Senator Ted Kennedy's book. Palin's memoir will be 400 pages, and the title, Going Rogue in American Life, which playfully refers to complaints from the McCain campaign during the presidential campaign that Governor Palin had publicly and irresponsibly deviated from the campaign's message. Palin's collaborator, Lynn Vincent, is an editor of an evangelical magazine, so maybe Palin's book will be inspirational. In any event, an extensive survey by Politico finds that the GOP base still loves Palin, but many leaders doubt she would be a credible presidential candidate. Let's call in talk radio host and Huffington Post contributor Shannon Moore. And Shannon, good evening.
Good evening, David.
We don't have advanced excerpts of Palin's book yet, but the title, some thoughts on that as well as the release date?
Well, I think it's pretty ironic that she used that as her new title, Going Rogue. You know, a lot of people are talking about that McCain camp had used that in describing how she was, you know, going all mavericky on them. Also, Tina Fey brilliantly did the I'm going all rogue. But in Alaska, it actually has a different sort of connotation. Sarah Palin actually used that term 2 times to basically destroy 2 careers of 2 different men here. One was former Safety Commissioner Walt Monaghan. She called him a rogue commissioner for trying to secure more money for sexual assault victims in Alaska, which we have the highest number of per capita. The other one was her ex-brother-in-law, Mike Wooten, who she said was a rogue cop. I mean, she basically destroyed 2 people's lives here. Mr. Wooten isn't even allowed to be on the street anymore as a cop. He's at a desk job because the troopers couldn't keep him safe. So for her to use the word rogue on herself as though it's cute and adorable, it really isn't. She's used it to destroy people here, and I don't think Alaskans will forget that. And as far as the timing goes, I think she's trying to beat a couple of other books to the punch.
We alluded to this already, but is there really any doubt remaining about Palin's prime motive for abandoning her elected office after only 2.5 years, that she saw more money on the other side?
Well, I'm sure she's seeing lots more money on the other side, and you know, for what people see as Alaska, we're not that many people, not even 700,000 people to be the governor over. We do have trillions of dollars worth of resources here, and managing that and the social ills that happen here and the climate change that's happening here, you know, it's hard work, as George Bush said about being president, and it was too hard of work for Sarah Palin. So why not go and make lots of money being Sarah Palin somewhere else?
In a typical quote from that Politico piece we mentioned, the former New Hampshire Republican Party chairman said that Palin attracts huge crowds and is great for fundraising, but, he added, there is the Palin paradox, quoting, how can you quit without finishing your first term and then ask us to entrust the presidency to you? Does that largely sum it up?
Well, yeah, like the rogue means the quitter. You know, I look at this, and certainly, you know, she's had this ghost written by an evangelical writer. I mean, I don't know if they plan on, you know, her base just adding this to the New Testament as one of the additional books, or how they're perceiving this. The base is very small, and you know, she can raise money for him, but at what cost?
And as far as the presidential campaign, would it be hard for Palin to resist speaking to big crowds, even as with the presidential campaign she is not paid to do so?
Well, you know, I think thousands of people showing up and chanting, you know, Sarah Palin's name, even if she's not getting paid for that, I think for her, that's priceless.
And as far as Levi Johnson, I mean, there was the big spread in Vanity Fair. His, I mean, really critical comments about Sarah Palin. People in Alaska, who do they believe in all this? Do they believe Levi Johnson's versions of Sarah Palin as being lazy and not interested in essentially raising her family? Or do they believe Palin when she fights back, as we expect her to do so in this book?
I don't know that they believe either one of them. I think they believe their own eyes and their own ears, and they've watched Sarah Palin and they saw her stand up and say that she was going to quit for the good of Alaskans, and then the next thing you know, she's being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for a speech and making millions off of a book deal. So I think Alaskans don't really need Levi Johnson to tell them what to believe. They just can see what she's doing themselves.
Shannon Moore, talk radio host and contributor to the Huffington Post. Shannon, great thanks as always. We appreciate it.